Hi, welcome to my channel where I discuss everything I love about my favorite books. So, last week, Angela from Do Unicorns Read tagged me for my first ever tag on Booktube for the Why Haven't I Read These Books Yet tag. So, I believe this is a tag where we go over 5 different categories, and for each category, pick a book that we've been intending to read for a long time, and for some reason or the other haven't gotten to it. So we name the book, discuss the reason why we haven't read it yet. So I scoured my 1500 want to read list on Goodreads to pick my books. I'm just kidding, I sorted by updated date and stopped scrolling soon as I found my answers. So the first category in which we're supposed to pick a book is a classic book that I haven't read yet. So for this, I pick Hard Times by Charles Dickens. So I took a literature class back when I was in college getting my computer science degree, and we studied a snippet from Hard Times. It was a conversation between a girl and her math teacher, I think. They're in a classroom, and the professor set problem for the class to solve. I think he's teaching percentages, and the question that they're supposed to solve is if a ship sinks and it had 300 passengers and all but 5 of them survived. I'm making up the numbers here because I do not remember, it was a long time ago, but if all but 5 people survived, what is the percentage of people who drowned? And he puts this question to the girl, and she says, "Sir, it doesn't matter." And the teacher's curious why she thinks that, and she says, "It doesn't matter. The percentage doesn't matter to the families of the people who died." So that conversation stayed with me for a really long time. I've been wanting to read this book since then. It's been about 13 years since I took that class. And initially I couldn't get my hand on a copy of it. When I did eventually pick it up, I read quite a bit of the book before the girl was even introduced, and so eventually I lost patience and I stopped reading. I started wondering if I remembered correctly that the snippet was from Hard Times. I have not confirmed yet that this is from that book, but I do plan to read and finish the book to find out. That girl has stayed with me for 13 years. I need to know what happened to her. The next category is fiction. For this, I pick House of Spirits by Isabel Allende. I read, I think, In the Midst of Winter by her, and I wanted to read more books by the author, but I've just been reading things that I have found more interesting since, but I do intend to pick this up at some point. For non-fiction, I have The Emperor's New Mind. This is also a book that I've been wanting to read since college. It's by Roger Penrose, sorry. And so I think I got it as a gift for something. And it's a book in which I believe Roger Penrose explores where the science of consciousness can come from, if I understand correctly, and also makes a case for why strong AI is not possible. So, and I'm very interested in that subject, but every time I pick it up, I get vaguely intimidated by the mathematical equations. The author does say we can skip over them without any loss of understanding the book, but I do want to read it with the equations, and being adamant like that meant that every time I pick it up, I feel intimidated and I put it back down. I think I'm going to give it another try soonish. The next category is a book in a genre that I like. I think I've recently become a big fan of fantasy and sci-fi. Pretty much everything I read is in these 2 genres, except occasionally I'll pick up a contemporary fiction or literary fiction for breaks. But mostly I've been reading fantasy and sci-fi. So I'll pick a fantasy series for this category. I'll say A Song of Ice and Fire because I went through a really long phase of not wanting to read unfinished series, because I didn't want to have to wait for the next book or reread the whole series. I have since changed my attitude about this. If a series is worth reading, it's probably worth rereading, so I can always just decide to stop reading the series midway if I don't like it enough to wait for the next book. So with that in mind, I'm probably going to pick the series up again, or like I'm going to pick it up for the first time. Joanna mentioned that she's going to do a read along early next year, so I might read along with her perhaps. And then a book that I've owned for the longest time and I have not read yet. For this, my answer is The Clicking of Cuthbert. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm not sure. It's by P.G. Wodehouse. Again, when I was in school, my uncle gave me a box set of it was a 10-book box set of books by P.G. Wodehouse. It had a lot of Jeeves and Wooster books, and it had some I think standalone books, or maybe it had recurring characters from others, I'm not sure. But anyway, I read 9 of them. The last one was The Clicking of Cuthbert, and this, I believe, is a collection of short stories, golf-based short stories, and I know nothing about golf. I figured I'll probably not enjoy it, so I didn't read it at the time. I still know nothing about golf, but I might pick it up at some point just to feel like I completed that box set. Cool. Now, for who do I tag? I think for my first tag, I'll do Jonathan from Words in Time. He runs a sci-fi channel on Booktube, and I love watching his reviews. He's currently working his way through the Commonwealth Saga by I forget, Peter Hamilton, I think. Anyway, I love that series, and I'm really excited to hear his thoughts on it, and I'd love to hear his answers for this tag. The second booktuber I'd like to tag is Kathy from the channel Nerdy Kathy. This is a channel I discovered very recently. Kathy's got a lovely vibe in her channel. She plays some very soothing background music. I love watching her reviews, and I'd love to hear Kathy's answers to this tag. And then the third booktuber or booktubers I'd like to tag is the brothers Gwyn. I love their channel. I love the dynamic between the two brothers. I've been watching them pretty much from the beginning, and as far as I know, they either haven't been tagged yet or they haven't done a video for this tag. So yeah, so those are the 3 people I'd like to tag. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one.